let's explore in kind of a conclusion why the perpetrators, why do they feel justified in these actions? And why has alternative health or alternative health philosophies been chosen for elimination? In short, you could say money, but you could say money and power. Think about it. According to the World Health Organization, something like 80% of the world's population relies on some form of natural treatment, natural therapies, alternative therapies, and that's bad for business. So the attack on non-conventional medicine is designed, number one, to protect the power base, number two, to protect the money, because we're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar pharmaceutical industry, and that's a significant power base, no doubt about it. But there's a darker side to the equation. As we discovered the specific individuals and organizations involved in the attacks, and remember, we spent big bucks here to hire the top cybersecurity firm in the world to figure out who these guys were, and it was interesting to detect a common thread that seemed to kind of unify these guys, a sort of philosophical orientation, if you will. I like to call the cyber thug perpetrators the naturalistic extremist. I call the philosophy naturalistic extremism, which is now the dominant force behind the suppression of medical enlightenment. Let me repeat that because it's worth repeating. Naturalistic extremism is the dominant force behind the suppression of medical enlightenment. If we look at holistic, natural, or any of the non-conventional health philosophies out there, regardless of whether they're founded in good science or not, and we contrast that sort of do no harm philosophy with the mindset of the naturalistic, conventional, allopathic paradigm, we begin to see a great divide. It's quite obvious, a divide that dramatically separates the two ways of thinking. On the one hand, we have people like you who likely espouse a philosophy that says, let's take every good thing that we can find in the conventional realm, let's combine that with scientifically and empirically demonstrated healing strategies. In fact, let's capitalize on every form of healing that considers the whole person, mind, body, spirit, emotions, whatever your particular philosophy of healing might be, and let's merge these holistic forces in a true quest for optimal health and wellness. Not to put words in your mouth, but that's generally the type of health philosophy that you're going to see emerging out of the non-conventional, holistic, natural, integrative realm. On the other hand, you have those that believe that every force operating in the universe is natural, rejecting anything that is outside the purview of peer review and double blind, regardless of whether the treatment philosophy is scientifically objective or not. Their philosophy stands in total opposition to any alternate reality, pretending that their philosophy is somehow scientifically and intellectually superior because they say so. The one declaring live and let live, and the other divide and conquer, right? You look at alternative, free-thinking philosophies on the one hand, and naturalistic extremism on the other, and what you end up with are divergent philosophical orientations, paradigmatic orientations that are increasingly polarizing. That's the trend, and it's accelerating like a bat out of hell. And naturalistic extremism is a philosophy that currently advocates for the suppression, not only the suppression, but the eventual destruction of any viewpoint that happens to disagree with its notions, its faulty notions, I might add. In fact, it's a commonly held belief among the hardcore naturalists that naturalistic science is the new dominant religion of our society, or at least it should be. You know, these guys, we're talking about a religion imposed on the world in the name of science. Now, that puts kind of an interesting twist on things, doesn't it? And if you don't think that naturalists are creedal about scientism, think again. In fact, they'll tell you that science alone, and of course, by science, I'm speaking of their particular brand of science, their particular brand of dogmatic religiosity, in fact, is the only reliable road to understanding anything that there is to be understood. Now, keep in mind that my argument isn't against the fact that they claim that all truth is scientific truth, which alone is absurd, but rather that they package lies and distortion as truth, while attacking truth and calling it a lie. And the new hardcore naturalistic extremists They'll advocate for the suppression of non-conventional therapies, whether they're scientific or not, on the justifiable basis that non-conventional health philosophies are dangerous for the world, and that the people advocating them are dangerous and that they should be dealt with accordingly. This is serious business. This is not a game. But I can assure you that we are a strong organization. We have countermeasures in place that will dissuade the opposition. They've recently learned of those countermeasures, and I believe that we have an accord. But the problem, it's only going to get worse. The general global pandemic of naturalism will only proliferate from here. I'm sure you know about the killing of holistic doctors around the globe over the past year or so. The German cartel poisoning entire groups of people at holistic conferences in Germany. The raids, the attacks, the staged suicides, etc. Disease is big business. Treating the symptoms in perpetuity, big business. And alternative health and free thinking in general is bad for big business. The war against alternative and natural medicine, I mean, it's been going on for a long time. It's been probably the last 100 years or so. Started with the Rockefellers, started with the IG Farben Group, spreading out to more than 320 pharmaceutical companies, and then consolidating back to just 11 in the past decade. But we're entering a new phase of suppression here, where conventional doctors, medical researchers, and scientists have joined forces with universities, with other naturalistic extremists like Google and Facebook, all in tandem with big government and big pharma to destroy medical freedom among the majority in the name of naturalism, claiming, and I quote from the infamous Quack Watch, that the methods of alternative medicine not only lack scientific proof of safety and or effectiveness, they also lack a plausible rationale. Think about it. Coming from the drug doctors, whose precious pharmaceuticals, according to the Journal of the American Medical Association, account for the 5th leading cause of death in the United States. Drugs that they call safe and effective. This coming from the same people who literally worship the World Health Organization, whose own estimates show that 1 in 10 hospital admissions leads to an adverse event, while 1 in 300 admissions leads to death. The same group whose medical errors are among the top 10 killers in the world, according to the United States Institute of Medicine. Preventable medical errors kill 98,000 people in the United States alone each year, but natural medicine is the enemy. Makes a lot of sense. Nothing more disgusting than a hypocrite. And to some extent, you're not seeing that in the United States as much as you are in the UK, Australia, Canada, Sweden, Germany. In many of these places, they've actually passed legislation making it impossible to even study natural medicine in the schools. I kid you not, they're shutting down university courses, etc., claiming that this type of education puts the public at risk. Are you kidding me? There should be a revolution in the streets. And in a manner of speaking, those integrative doctors listening to this webcast right now, you've been chosen for natural selection by the new religion of naturalism. Getting rid of you or suppressing your philosophy is a process fundamental to the survival of big pharma, fundamental to the coming power grab for your health. You already see it with the vaccines. Codex is merely a precursor here. This is far beyond money. We're talking about medical enslavement, which is just one of several transitional mechanisms that will be used to achieve control, not only over your health, but over the global population at large. And that's the truth. Now, you might not be able to handle the truth, but that'll make very little difference in the final analysis. And these Luciferian narcissists, I guarantee you, they believe that they're stronger, richer, and more equipped to survive than you are. They mean to spread their seed. I'm talking about the seeds of their dogma into the entire species. And I can see why these bastards are turning up the heat. 2 new studies from the National Institute of Health show that 1/3 of Americans use alternative medicine. And you wonder why these guys are trying to regulate the internet? You think that they want a free-thinking society? Oh, no. Now, in my opinion, they're actually losing the war, and they know it. I mean, naturalistic extremism is a self-refuting and self-defeating worldview. Naturalistic extremism as a metaphysical philosophy is simply incompatible with true science, period. Those that attack us do so on the basis of their own metaphysical worldview, not a scientific one. Don't be fooled. They're not really fooling anyone. They're certainly not fooling the well-informed. So I guess what I'd leave with you is as you navigate through the waters of the BX protocol, be careful, be informed, do not fear, and know that the truth shall prevail. Thank you very much for listening.